Live from Washington, D.C., this is Dreams, the Capital View.
Hello, and welcome to Dreams, the Capital View. My name is Angel Austin, and I'll be your host for today. Today, we will be talking with Miss Betty Ann Bryce, who is the National Program Manager for the 2017 Fed Feeds Families campaign with the Department of Agriculture. Then later, a health discussion with Mr. Eddie Johnson. But first, Fed Feeds Family, what's it all about? Check out this video.
Hello, my name is Elaine Austin, and I am the producer of Dreams, the Capital View. And today we are here at the Capital Area Food Bank with Miss Betty Ann Bryce, and she's from the Department of Agriculture. And she has a special project that she's working on, and it's called Fed Feeds Families. I'm excited to interview her. Okay, Betty, how are you?
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Well, can you tell us a little bit again who you are and about what you're doing?
Sure, as you said, my name is Betty Ann Bryce, and this year I'm serving as the National Program Manager for Feds Feed Families. I know it's a mouthful, but essentially this is a food drive, and we're asking all federal employees and agencies to participate. And today we're at the Capital Area Food Bank because part of the process of those Fed Feeds Families is we're asking employees to provide service where they can. And by service we mean volunteering their time to support food bank initiatives. Part of the Fed Feeds Family volunteers, which we so love, are working together to repackage corn. So the corn was picked up from Callaway Farms, and they're breaking it down, looking to make sure that it's still good and viable, repackaging it into smaller portions that will then be distributed to families in the DC metropolitan area. And what we love about Fed Feeds Families are this, today we have USDA, we have volunteers from the Department of Education, we have volunteers from Homeland Security, we have volunteers from all over, and they're working together, which is rare because normally they don't get together in this type of a format. And this is all for a worthy cause. So when you volunteer with us, this is the type of work that you would be doing. And we welcome other federal employees joining us.
Welcome. Welcome, Betty.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Nice to have you. So we had an opportunity to look at the clip. Let's talk a little bit more about Fed Feeds Families. How did this program get started?
This program got started, I want to say 9 years ago, and it was an initiative that really emphasized service, serving the communities, and it really focused on federal employees. And the aim of it is to really try to come together as a unit and help the community. And as federal employees, we are essentially about service, so this is just an extension of that in an area where we saw the greatest need.
Okay, so is this a national or local event?
This is a nationwide event.
Okay.
All federal agencies, all subfield components, every state is involved, and in some cases internationally, because we have, as you know, departments that have overseas components and they're involved.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your role serving as the National Program Manager.
My role is essentially bringing it all together and making sure the wheels don't fall off the bus. As you can imagine, when you have so many federal agencies, they all have different requirements, different rules, and they all need to try to understand how they go about their individual campaigns. So I try to provide them with opportunities, I provide them with information, and I provide them and I talk to them each week about just kind of keeping the momentum going, because it is a campaign that began on the 1st of June and it ends on the 31st of August. So it's a pretty fast moving
process. So at every given time, people are losing momentum or they're wondering what to do. And we really try to say, this is a good program. We really are doing good in your communities, and we want you to talk to us first. Where are you having hiccups? How can we help you?
Okay. So how does the food get distributed, and what is the actual process?
The actual process is quite simple. We ask federal employees to do essentially 5 things. We ask them first to bring in non-perishable items into their agencies and their collection bins set up with the Fed Feed Family logo. And that's what we're asking them to do. We have a list of most wanted items: peanut butter, nutritious food, juices. They drop it in the box, and that's one way. That's one of the simplest ways. And if everyone is doing that, you are already providing a service to food banks. Just imagine 2 jars of peanut butter, a bag of rice coming in every day from different employees. That's one. 2, for some federal agencies, we suggest virtual donations. Virtual donations are quite simple. As federal employees, we don't deal in cash, but we know you're going to shop. So what if one of the things that you buy, you send directly to a food bank? That's it. And if a couple of folks did that, you're helping us. And we just put Fed Feeds Family on the label and let us know you've done it, and that's what we're interested in. Then we ask, every agency has events. They do that. They have picnics, they have socials, they have everything. We suggest, why don't you ask them to donate food. If they want to participate to your ice cream social, bring a jar of peanut butter. So simple ways that you can do it, that you can support the food drive. Then we ask you to provide some of your time. So if your resources are limited in that way, then give us your time. We call it gleaning. Gleaning is really going out into the field and picking up produce that's left over. After the commercial, after it's been harvested for commercial use, there's always leftover. Collard greens, kale, corn. Farmers are giving us an opportunity before they turn over the land and destroy it to come in and take what we can. So we glean pretty much 3 times a week. We ask federal employees to come out when they can and to glean with us. And all the produce, that's an opportunity for the poor to get fresh produce.
So your transportation to and from for the gleaning activities are provided for federal employees?
It depends on where it is.
Okay.
But we ask agencies to support this. This initiative is supported from the top. So we're essentially asking agencies to make their resources available to support us throughout this campaign. So, and so it's really volunteer driven. Everyone that's part of this is giving of their own time. So even when we go out and to provide service on Saturday mornings, that's our own time. But it's all counts towards the food drive.
Okay. So that was my next question. I know a lot of federal employees may say, well, hey, I want to participate. Do they get time off, or is this all before and after work hours?
Well, what we suggest is that we follow the official policy, which is volunteerism. So it's supervisor driven.
Okay.
So we ask supervisors, we tell them the program, the initiative, it's important. If your supervisor approves, you can join us. Otherwise, it is after hours or on Saturdays when it's obviously your own time.
Okay.
We've had a lot of employees coming out, and supervisors have been cooperating with us across the country. They think it's a very good initiative because at the end of the day, food banks run low on food during the summer. They have come to depend on us, and so everyone supports it.
Okay. So just to be clear, when you say we ask people to come out, that's to support the local food banks?
That's to support the gleaning events,
Okay.
to support, if you're not coming into the agencies every day with a can of peanut butter in your bag, which you probably aren't, and you're busy, some folks say, I want to help. Betty Ann, how can I help? I'm like, well, we're going out to a farm this weekend who's given us an opportunity to pick up some kale. Are you willing to join us for 2 hours? Right at that moment, a food pantry we alert food pantries. They will come and pick it up. Bread for the City.
Okay.
We're going out on Friday, and DC Central Kitchen may be the one receiving the produce that we pick. So it's a very immediate effect. And you see it. And I think that puts a smile on people's face. And so they see that it's going towards a good cause, because this is a moment for people who have hunger, challenges to actually get fresh produce.
Okay. And so as soon as you pick it up, it's distributed to an agency right here within our community, which then goes right back out to
Right.
families that need it.
Yeah, exactly.
So is the program only open to federal employees, or how could one participate if they were interested?
Everyone, I believe, is a stone's throw away from a federal employee,
Okay.
right? So what we have is you can decide that you want to go gleaning.
Mm-hmm.
You could be invited by a federal employee. Our credit here is weight. So I should have said this from the beginning, but for example, last year we brought in over 12 million pounds. That's our
Awesome.
weight. It's our
Yeah.
currency.
Okay.
And so this year we want to beat last year,
Okay.
right? So each agency, so the point is when we go and glean, everything is weighed.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tell us, okay, this is how many pounds, and it's distributed across the agencies, and we keep going. So you can bring your family. We've been out there with children, and they will join in, and it's a community. It's a way for different agencies to actually come together, because when would you mix with the IRS and all these other agencies? But you would on a cornfield,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're all happy because we're doing good.
Okay. So is that another part of your role, is to see who has what left over and to coordinate where you all go and glean?
Yes.
Okay.
My goal is to make sure we encourage each campaign. It's a very big process, but we encourage each agency to set up opportunities for their staff to either go out or to participate in activities within the agency. What I try to do is act as a backstop. So just in case you don't have a place to go, we have set aside
For you.
some places
Gotcha.
for you.
Okay.
And so, but we're not supposed to lead the whole thing, but we're just, oh, I want to do something, come join us. And at the same time, I'm trying to get training out to everyone to say, Betty Ann, how do I set up a gleaning opportunity? Here are some tools that can help you. I'm missing information. How do I get promotional materials? Here are some tools that I can help you. So I'm essentially trying to make sure that everyone has what they need within minutes, because in my world, 1 day lost, 2 hours is like 1 day.
Right.
Because it's a campaign, and and it's also a competition. It's a friendly competition.
Okay.
But at the same time, USDA wants to beat another agency, DOD or so on. So we have these friendly competitions, which we love because it means people are going out for that reason.
Right. So it's also team building as well, because if you're working with your team, it's another way to build camaraderie within the organization for a good cause. So that's pretty awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the food that's donated. When a federal employee brings in that food, where then does that food go?
Let's see, I'm glad you asked me that. So essentially what happens is we have these collection boxes. They bring them in. When they're full, they're picked up. Each agency is responsible for getting their boxes to the food bank.
Okay, so to the capital area food
To the
bank.
Capital Area
Okay.
Food Bank. We work with the Capital Area Food Bank in the DC region, largely because they're networked to every food pantry in the DC metro region. It would be impossible for us to
Find
pick one,
family, yeah.
but we are very comfortable because we know when they receive our donation, it goes to every food pantry in the DC metro region. Outside of the DC metro region, we encourage our federal partners to find food banks to support. And they pick up the products, they'll weigh it, and then they'll report back to us and tell us what the weight is, and we keep going. And we also encourage them not to hold it, because it is a competition. We want you to get the food out right away, because there is a need,
Yeah.
and we are
Quick turnover.
at the end of the day, it's a competition for us, but the community, we're feeding a need.
Right. So what did you say your goal was for this year?
I never put a number out,
Okay.
but what I did suggest to agencies is I went back over all the numbers for the last couple of years, and I said, beat your best.
Okay.
So, in USDA's case, I'll use USDA. Our best was not last year,
Okay.
right? So I challenged them and said, well, our best was actually 2015.
Okay.
So because we did over 7 million pounds.
Oh wow,
just
that's
by it.
awesome.
So what if USDA beat their best?
Awesome. Yeah.
DOD beat their best. And so we've been very impressed by how committed the agencies have been, and we're right now encouraging more to join us.
And what is the end date for the campaign?
The campaign ends on the 31st of August.
Okay.
So which is why I said it's very, very, it's a fast moving train.
Okay. But to all federal employees or anyone who wants to donate, there's still an opportunity to get out and help the Fed Feed Family 2017 campaign.
There is. If you go on our website, you find all the information. And again, I know everyone is a stone throw away from a federal employee. You can just let them know. You can say you want to provide a donation on behalf of Fed Feeds Family. You can contact us, and we will direct you. I should say this: when you go to the website, that email address goes
What is
directly
the website?
to me.
Give the viewing audience the website.
The website, you can find us on the USDA's website and just search Fed Feeds Family. And the email address at the bottom goes directly to me.
Okay.
So everyone contacts me, and I try to get them all the responses they need to keep going.
Okay. And so, do you all have any activities planned for any gleaning activities or food bank opportunities this weekend coming up that people can participate in?
We certainly do. We are going out to Miller Farms in
Okay.
Clinton,
Right
Maryland.
in Clinton.
Friday morning and Saturday morning,
Okay.
bright and early, to glean some beautiful collard greens and kale. We try to get out there every week to do that, and we plan to get out there throughout the campaign until then. And then we also have the opportunity to go do some in-warehouse work with Capital Area Food Bank,
Okay.
where we're helping to basically break down the packages so that families and people in need can come in and get what they need to leave. Right now, everything is delivered in bulk, as you can imagine. So they always need volunteers to come in and break it down into small sizes so it can be distributed in the community.
Okay. To the viewing audience, we ask you to stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
Part of the Fed Feeds Family volunteers, which we so love, are working together to repackage corn. So the corn was picked up from Callaway Farms, and they're breaking it down, looking to make sure that it's still good and viable, repackaging it into smaller portions that will then be distributed to families in the DC metropolitan area. And what we love about Fed Feeds Families are this, today we have USDA, we have volunteers from the Department of Education, we have volunteers from Homeland Security, we have volunteers from all over, and they're working together, which is rare because normally they don't get together in this type of a format. And this is all for a worthy cause. So when you volunteer with us, this is the type of work that you would be doing. And we welcome other federal employees joining us.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Hello and welcome back to Dreams. We are joined with Ms. Betty Ann Bryce, who is the National Program Manager for the 2017 Fed Feeds Families campaign with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Right before we went to the break, we were talking about Fed Feed Families, but let's go into what is the impact of the program? Who was greatly impacted by it?
The community does greatly. This is about fighting hunger. And what we found out a couple years ago is that during the summer, food banks run low. Everyone who gives to a food bank tends to give at the end of the year during the holidays, right? But we know school is out. So we know that there are homes that are struggling to put food on the table every day. And it's exacerbated during the summer, and we don't want food banks turning people away. So what we found was that food banks, their shelves were empty. So this is what started that. So this is why the campaign runs through the summer. It's meant to restock the shelves of the food banks so that they don't run out of food. Over time, it has grown because what we found is that this has become so popular that it's critical to food banks. And now we cannot stop because we've created we've filled an important stopgap. And sometimes we've done enough such that it's enough for a year.
Oh, awesome. So besides the Capital Area Food Bank, who are the other partners of Fed Feed Families?
Well, we have Ample Harvest. We have different food community gardens and things of that sort. So we essentially partner with food banks and also farms who are willing to provide us access and also who are willing to take our products and distribute them widely.
Okay. So when you're trying to get people to participate, why is it important for federal employees to participate with the Fed Feed Families?
This started basically to build on the fact that federal employees are essentially public servants. Sometimes we forget because we're all busy, but this was just a reminder to recapture that. We are public servants. It is in our DNA. If the community is in need, we are the ones that should be filling that. And so it's essentially been built on that premise. But at its core, it's also voluntary. So I can never force another federal employee to participate. And that's what makes it more complicated. Because at the end of the day, everyone would love to just put cash out there.
Right.
And that's the one thing we cannot do.
Accept,
So
yeah.
essentially, part of my job every day is to implore you, beg you even, to give of your time and to tell you that it's not that much of your time and it's making such a difference that why wouldn't you want
To participate. Yeah.
So that's what makes it difficult, because at the end of the day, you could say no, right? But we know that if we don't deliver, we have failed. Last year, 600,000 pounds of the food went to the DC region.
Awesome.
If we do less than that, we failed.
We're doing a disservice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So I shame, I beg, I'm okay with that. Because at the end of the day, if we get more than 6,000 pounds in the DC metro region, we've done a service.
Awesome. So how are you all going about getting the word out? Are you doing email blasts? Are you doing friend tell a friend? Tell us what we can do to help get the word out to get people to participate in the Fed Feeds Families 2017 campaign.
You're helping us now by having me on.
Okay.
We use our website. We ask federal employees to, again, beg to promote, to show these types of events, to show it to friends, to get it across the agencies. The good thing about being nationwide and having to talk to different agencies is I have an ear in there. So I can say, could you play this? Could you show this? We also make little videos. So we make videos of people working in the field to tell them it's not so hard, it's not so difficult, you can do it. We just try to we do email blasts, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, which is rare for the federal government, but they're so behind this program that they've allowed us to be social.
Awesome.
And so you can find us, we're out there, and every agency is involved, and that's the beauty of it. If I don't come up, DOD will come up, everyone is in there, and IRS is in there, and that's why I love it, because we are public servants. It's a community of federal public servants that are helping the community.
So just as a reminder, the 2017 Fed Feed Families campaign, you cannot donate via cash. So they're asking for non-perishable items to come out and do some gleaning in the communities where they're actually allowed the opportunity to collect food that can go directly to the local Bread for the Cities and different agencies within the DC metro region to provide fresh produce for families in the city. So we're asking everybody to come out and help. Before we went to break, you told us 5 ways that our federal employees could participate. Can you reiterate those to the viewing audience in case somebody missed it? Because everybody thinks, oh, I'll donate $10, but there are 5 other ways that we can definitely help to make sure the city meets its goal and the federal government meets its goal before the deadline in August.
Sure. So the simplest way is, again, just to drop a jar of peanut butter in your mom's purse as she's going to work and remind her to drop it in a collection bin. The other way is virtual donations. As I say, we all sit in front of our computers. We're all on the phone. So you can get on with your favorite commercial retailer of your choice and ask them to just, instead of taking that, what you purchased, instead of bringing it home with you, send it to a food pantry. And then let us know that you've done that. You know, again, Fed Feeds Family on the USDA website, you will find us. You can send us an email and say, this is for Fed Feeds Family. You can also, federal employees can also participate to their agency events. Again, we all have ice cream socials, yoga, Fortuna, you know, everyone is thinking of creative ways. We have Family Day, when the family comes in and there are different events, but you bring in some non-perishable items and drop it in a collection bin. We even have golf tournament, chili cook-offs. We're doing everything. Every agency is doing everything. So those are the 3 ways that are simplest. And then the other 2 ways is gleaning. Where do you go? If you're not a person who likes to go on a farm, go in a warehouse. Help to sort food. Help to put packages together for families in need. There are opportunities all around you for that. And then go out on a farm and glean. It's I'm not going to say it's fun, but I'm going to say it's rewarding.
Okay. And so lastly, before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about when you say go into the warehouse. What is the warehouse that we can direct people to, and what are the hours?
Sure. Capital Area Food Bank needs, most food pantries run on volunteers. Capital Area Food Bank can help people figure out where they want to go, or you can volunteer with Capital Area Food Bank. They have kids coming in. They have a lot of produce and things that are delivered in bulk. Just imagine trucks pulling up. They depend on volunteers to help break that down. And that's their bread and butter, volunteers. So we, as federal employees, have been going to Capital Area Food Bank 1 day a week and giving up their time. Actually, I spent my time there last week, and as you saw in the video, we were packaging, putting corn into smaller packages for distribution in the community. So I would say a first stop for warehouse activities is Capital Area Food Bank. For farms, it's local farms. There you can go look on feedingamerica.org, or again, look at our website or contact us, and we're happy to help direct you.
Okay. Do you know how families in need would benefit from this program, or how they can get in contact, who they can get in contact with to actually get some of the food if they were a family in need from this program?
I would tell them to contact their local food pantry. I can promise you that in the 5 weeks that I've been doing this, I've seen different food pantries show up to pick up their food and also to pick up their fresh produce. So I know the food pantries are getting it. But if you, and I'm not talking just the bigger ones, I've seen food pantries that only serve 140 people every Tuesday, and churches show up and get fresh produce. So they are networking. If your food pantry or your local community says they have a day when they're giving out, that is probably some food that has indirectly come through our efforts. So I would say contact your local food pantry, and I would suggest to local food pantries, if you want to be a part of it, to contact us so we can help make sure that you are indeed getting what we can help direct some things in your direction.
Okay. And the goal for this year?
The goal for this year is still to beat your best.
Beat your best.
Beat your best. Go back into history. Look at your numbers. You can do better.
Okay. Awesome. Give us the website give us your website information one more time in case anyone wants to contact you.
If you go on the United States Department of Agriculture's website and put in Fed Feeds Family, we come right up. We're the only program in the USDA, so we're right there. Our page is updated, and all the information is on it.
Okay. And so the program is running through August the 31st?
August 31st. It's a competition. We have 6 weeks to go. We're getting all our federal employees fired up. Competitions are, there's a lot of, talk.
Okay.
And we hope that it leads to very big numbers.
So you generated the momentum within the federal government to get people to participating in the campaign.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we're just trying to build momentum until the 31st of August.
Okay. And so how many families in the past 3 years, what have been the numbers of the families that have benefited from the Fed Feed Families?
We typically don't measure in terms of families. We measure in terms of weight. So, for example, as I said, last year we did 12 million pounds across the nation. That's
awesome.
A lot of food. But I will also impress you because in 2015 we did 17 million. So this campaign is powerful.
Awesome. Okay.
And what we do is make sure that as many food pantries as possible benefit.
Awesome. We want to thank you, Ms. Betty Ann Bryce, for coming and talking with us about the 2017 Fed Feed Families campaign. And to all federal employees and anyone who's just a thrown stowaway from a federal employee, we ask you to definitely consider participating to help those in need right here in our DC metropolitan area. Thank you again for joining us. To our viewing audience, we ask you to stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
I got pregnant, and I was the main one working, so I did what I had to do to survive.
Sentía que la escuela no era para mí.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier.
My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
Sentí como que si quiero cambiar el mundo, tengo que cambiar a mí primero.
I could not have gotten my diploma without my family.
Mi consejera, ella fue lo máximo para mí porque me ayudó mucho con todo.
I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Yeah, it's hard, but keep on going and keep on trying.
The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Live from Washington, D.C., this is Dreams, the Capital View.
Hello, and welcome back to Dreams. In this segment of the show, we're going to talk about healthy living with Mr. Eddie Johnson. Welcome, Mr. Johnson. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
My pleasure as well.
Thank you for being here. So in the first segment, we were talking about food feed feds and how it's important to get as many fresh produce and products into the homes of residents in the DC metropolitan area. And so we thought it fitting to invite you, since you have dedicated the last couple of years of your life to healthy eating and healthy living and promoting an overall healthy lifestyle. So we want to jump right into it. Who is Eddie Johnson, and what caused him to live this healthy living life?
Eddie Johnson is an architect, urban planner, zoning consultant, and historic preservation consultant whose passion is nutritional and spiritual healing.
Okay.
So people ask all the time, how did I go from architecture to healing? Well, let me kind of summarize. While in high school, I was preparing for a high school track meet. I stumbled and fell, chipping a piece of bone off the femur in my right knee, which is the bone that extends from the hip and terminates behind the kneecap. At any rate, I had major surgery. I was in the hospital for a week and a few days, home for a day or two. The very day I went back to school, I was stepping off the curb with crutches, and they locked on the curb, fell back on the same knee, back in front of the surgeon again, who wanted to operate again. I said, no way. He said, arthritis. I said, when? He said, 20 years I had major arthritis. 20 years later, I meant a little. Angel of a woman in Baltimore named Reverend Ella Everett, who during the course of a conversation recognized that I had scratched my knee 3 times. She said, "Son, what's wrong with your knee?" I said, "I have arthritis." She said, "Get some red clover. That'll get rid of your arthritis." So I did. In a couple of weeks, the arthritis was gone. And then I bought a little pamphlet, then a book, and I started sharing information with other people who had issues. And I realized over a period of time, I was offering information that was beneficial to health. Then over time, I realized that the essence of health is how you think, what you put in your mouth, and how you exercise, and very key, how you treat other people. The good you do comes back, the dirt you do comes back. So that combination of thinking, eating, exercising, and how you treat other people is the combination of what my philosophy is about how to improve the quality of health. So I give health advice on the fact that God put on the planet everything we need. Beyond the fruits and veggies, they contain vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients, which add color, taste, and disease-fighting compounds. For example, in spinach, there's calcium, magnesium, vitamin C, iron, a couple of B-complex vitamins, 2 phytonutrients. One is called oxycalciton, which allows the bones to absorb calcium much more efficiently, and neoaxanthin, which causes cancer in the prostate to self-destruct. Let's take one other, kale. Kale has vitamin A, C, and E, and bone-building vitamin K, and a phytonutrient called indoles, which causes cancer in the breast to self-destruct. God made no mistakes about what he gave us. So, as I've mentioned, we have to change the way we think, what we eat, how we exercise, and how we treat other people. So I spend every day of my life on the phone with somebody's mother, father, sister, brother, co-worker, sharing information about health and healing that I know. And when someone asks a question that I'm not familiar with the ailment, I'll do the research and call them back. And people tell me all the time, they're doing better. So I'm finishing a book. It's entitled, I Am an Architect for Health. By the way, when we walk around saying I am, that's God. The Bible says I am, and I. And so when we use I am in the context of I am sick, I'm lonely, I'm poor, I'm broke, the Bible says whatever you ask, believe it, then be it done unto you. So when you claim using I am, it will in time manifest in your life. I have diabetes, I have heart problems, I have this, all the negatives. They will manifest. So I tell folks all the time, you got to change the way you think and change what comes out of your mouth. By your words, you condemn yourself. By the words, you set yourself free, at any rate.
Okay.
That's me.
So with that, when you're talking about I am what I think, I am what I eat, I am what I exercise, how should we get our daily supplements? Should they be natural? Should they be pills, pill forms? When you make a recommendation as to what is great for someone, in what form are you suggesting that people take them to be a bit better benefit to the body?
Initially, I tell folks that the bulk of your nutrients are in your fruits and vegetables and fish, primarily wild salmon, which is your highest source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential for building the brain, the nervous system, and it also helps with the prostate. Beyond that, supplements are your roots, barks, berries, leaves, and flowers from plants across the planet. They also contain a lot of the vitamins and minerals that are essential for health. So when I'm making recommendations, depending upon the issue, I will make recommendations that include certain foods. As a matter of fact, I tell every adult, you need to tell your kids or your grandkids or your nephews that we should start our day with foods that contain high sources of vitamin C. Why? It is the most important vitamin we put in our body. Vitamin C adds nutrients to the blood, improves circulation, strengthens the walls of the blood vessels and heart. And as a side effect for seniors who have pressure behind the eyes, taking drugs, vitamin C will reduce pressure behind the eyes. Where are your sources? Your highest sources are in kiwi, which looks like a lemon, except it's green, and black currants, which look like raisins, but they're smaller, and strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, all these berries, all these nutrients. And this whole thing about antioxidants, they're substances in the body that keeps the blood vessels and the blood in the body healthy. So I tell folks all the time, start your day with fruit.
So not
Quick.
just a cup of orange juice?
No, first of all, orange juice has a very high source. If it's not 100% juice made without concentrate. It's it's sugar and water. 100% juice from juice, not concentrate. The law only requires 10% juice to be in concentrates, and people don't realize that. So they go out and buy juices that say 100% juice, and you turn the label around that says from concentrate, not a lot of juice. So if you're going to drink juices, make sure they're 100% juice, like grape juice. Why is grape juice so important? It enriches your blood and gives you a lot of energy. But you don't see a lot, except when you go into the health food markets that says 100% juice, not from concentrates. Those are the juices to consume. Another recommendation I make to start the day. We've heard when we were kids, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Most people don't have a clue. Apples are high in number 1, vitamin C, number 2, pectin, which is a blood cleanser. By the way, the substances in apples you can also buy as supplements. So when I'm recommending supplements, I recommend either liquids, capsules, crystals, not necessarily pills unless the doctor requires. Why? They are very, very difficult to digest. Pills are coated with a thin, clear substance that's easy, capsules rather, are coated with a very thin coating that's easy to digest. So back to apples. High in vitamin C, pectin, blood cleanser. You can buy pectin as a capsule. Number 3, quercetin, reduces inflammation in the respiratory system, reduces problems in the chest, which is asthma, problems in the head, sinus, sinusitis. Also high in potassium, which normalizes blood pressure rather, and boron, which heals cracked and broken bones. And the apples, the skin has the nutrients, and a lot of people peel the skin and throw it away. It's essential for cleansing the colon. Don't throw the skin away. All the nutrients are there. So I recommend start your day with fruits.
So do you have a recommendation to wash the apples and the fruits before? So you know how you buy some from the store and they have that coating?
I traditionally buy the fruit spray from the health food markets or from our traditional Safeways and Giants. In the produce section, they have a spray called fruit sprays, and you spray that and then I rinse it off. That's how I clean my fruits. My fruits and veggies. I do the same thing. I use this fruit spray and spray and rinse it off.
Okay. So how have you secured your knowledge about healthy eating and healthy living?
Simple. I read.
Okay.
I do what doctors do. I give advice to physicians as well and everyday people. But no, seriously. I go in a series of health food markets on a weekly basis, and I won't get into names, but a couple of them have nutritional magazines that contain incredible articles on improving various areas of health. Beyond that, I read certain books on what is essential for improving the quality of health. And then I go online. There are enormous programs on the internet on nutrients that are essential for healing. For example, a guy stopped by my office today is Wednesday. He stopped by my office a couple of weeks ago and then called me the other day and said, no, I'm sorry, I got this backwards. A young lady came in my office who's in construction yesterday and said, I have a mother who has lupus. Do you have any recommendations? And I thought for a minute and I said, yeah, I got a couple. Have your mother take calcium, magnesium, vitamin D. Lupus destroys the bones. That'll help. And liquid form. Why liquid? You don't have to worry about digesting. When you consume supplements in a liquid form, they go into the stomach, into the blood system in 3-4 minutes. Everything else has to be digested. The other thing I told her, tell your mom to take liquid glucosamine with MSM and chondroitin. What is glucosamine? It's an amino sugar that the body produces. It peaks at age 25, and by the time you're 80, it has less than 20%. When it's produced outside the body, it's produced from seashells. It builds muscles, ligaments, tendons, and cartilage.
Okay. To the viewing audience, we say stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
When it comes to saving money,
What?
don't act like a baby.
Oh, it's like they're having their own little meeting. This is so humiliating.
Be the boss.
I'm the boss.
What the?
Power nap. You were saying.
And make a budget.
Let's get to work.
Need a little help?
Stacy, read back the notes.
I can't read. What's it say?
Create a personalized savings plan and get other tools and tips
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
at feedthepig.org.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Welcome back to Dreams, the Capitol View. To all the viewing audience, you know we do not end a segment of Dreams without our political roundtable, where we focus on what's going on in the city as far as government and politics. And today we're joined with Mr. Holman. Welcome, sir.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much.
No problem. Good to have you. Everybody always wants to know, what do you do, or who do you represent? So I'll give you that opportunity to tell the viewing audience.
I work as the government affairs lobbyist, a Capitol Hill lobbyist for Public Citizen on money and politics issues. Public Citizen is a consumer advocacy organization that was originally set up by Ralph Nader back in the 1970s.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What is pay-to-play politics?
Pay-to-play politics is one of the most pernicious problems we're seeing, especially at the state and local level, and especially in D.C. Pay-to-play politics is when businesses that are trying to win government contracts hand over cash contributions to the office holders that are in charge of doling out those contracts. When you've got that kind of exchange of allowing government contractors to make campaign contributions to the very same people who are going to be awarding those contracts, you're inviting corruption.
So I understand there's actually a case record on the pay-to-play politics in D.C. What is the case record?
This is an amazing case record. This is done by Patrick Madden over at WAMU, and no one has ever done this type of academic study before. He went and incrementally documented how much all the different office holders in D.C. have received as a portion of their campaign contributions from government contractors. And he found that literally almost every council member and mayor has received somewhere between 1/4 to 1/3 of their total campaign budget from government contractors. And even more interesting is those contributions from government contractors, Patrick found, happened right near the time of the awarding of the government contract. So, you know, if there's any evidence of a proof that campaign contributions are buying government contracts, that's the case record.
So I know it's become more severe over the last couple of years here in the district. Is it as severe of a problem elsewhere in the country?
It's a problem all over the country. It is a very serious problem here in D.C. But there have been, you know, records of corruption at the state and local levels all around the country. Illinois, one of the most famous cases was Rod Blagojevich, who is still sitting in prison, by the way. He was the governor of Illinois that was awarding government contracts to his major campaign contributors. Before him was Governor George Ryan, who had been rumored to be eligible for a Nobel Peace Prize, who also ended up awarding government contracts to his campaign contributors, and he went to prison. We've seen cases over and over of this type of corruption, and it's prompted a huge movement for reform throughout the country, mostly at the state and local levels.
So what is the real harm of pay-to-play here in the city?
Oh, there are several harms. First of all, the awarding of government contracts made based on money rather than merit is one big harm. The second is that it can waste taxpayer dollars. I mean, if someone wins a government contract who really didn't deserve it, that's not going to be a very cost-efficient investment. There's the harm that it does to the public's image of the government itself. You know, the public already is skeptical about government, and then to see it for sale like that is a major damage. And of course, there's the damage that it ruins potentially good careers. Because, for instance, like, you know, Governor Ryan in Illinois, who would have been a good governor had he not got tripped up in this whole process of selling government contracts, you know, it destroyed his career unnecessarily. Had they had a pay-to-play law on the books, he wouldn't have tripped over that line.
I know over the past couple of years, a lot of the newly elected council members or the candidates for political office have been wanting to make recommendations to change the pay-to-play problem that we have in the city. What do you think can be done to change pay-for-play in the district?
It's coming. We're seeing some very serious movement for anti-pay-to-play legislation here in D.C. And it's based upon legislation partly that I helped draft in New Jersey.
Awesome.
And legislation that's been adopted in Connecticut and Illinois following their scandals. It's good, tough legislation where it requires, first of all, a limit on campaign contributions from any business that wants to enter into a government contract. Then once they start negotiating through termination of the contract, a total ban on contributions. And the most important element of it is defining who the contractor is. Instead of just defining the contractor as the business, it's got to be defined as all the owners of the business, the senior executives of the business, and their spouses and immediate families.
Okay.
And once you define it that broadly, then you start capturing the potential for bundling campaign contributions to buy government contracts. And those are being proposed right now in D.C.
So is it accurate to say, wasn't Councilmember White working on making some proposals to address pay-to-play recently?
There are several.
Okay.
To tell the truth, the best one that I've seen so far is coming from Vincent Gray.
And so that was the next question. What's the difference between Vincent Gray's proposal and then Karl Racine's proposal?
Vincent Gray's, Karl Racine's proposal is very good too.
Okay.
I don't want to,
Discredit.
to
Yeah,
belittle that.
yeah.
But Vincent Gray does a notch better.
Okay.
He comes out, Vincent Gray comes out with defining the government contractor in that broad term.
Okay.
That includes the owners as well as the senior executives and their spouses.
Okay.
Racine's proposal has every other good element, but it doesn't define it that way. It uses the traditional definition of a business,
Gotcha.
which means someone like Jeffrey Thompson, for instance. Under the Racine proposal, Jeffrey Thompson could still dole out contributions as an individual, just he couldn't do it from his company.
From the business, yeah.
Under Vincent Gray's proposal, Jeffrey Thompson cannot hand out any contributions to anybody. So that's a significant difference right there.
Okay. So how far along do you think we are to at least starting to address the issue or letting businesses know that this is something that's on the district's radar and we're working to address it?
Well, so far, pay-to-play is running rampant in
Right,
D.C.
right.
It requires the city council to move forward with one of these proposals, and hopefully it'll be Racine's or Gray's or something in between. You know, it's running rampant at this point. What really gives me hope that the D.C. Council is about to come through with some major reform is the fact that David Grasso has introduced a public financing measure that has been endorsed now by 10 council members, a supermajority. And if they're going to go forward with that sort of small donor public financing proposal, which would also ban corporate contributions to those who participate, it would be very, very prudent for the council to complement that with a pay-to-play proposal. That way, you know, they can ban contributions from government contractors. It's going to cost them a quarter of their campaign budget. But with the public financing system, with Grasso's public financing system in place, it makes up for the money. And then it's clean money. It's not the kind of money that's trying to buy contracts or buy favors. It's money that doesn't cause corruption or scandal.
So what are the prospects of reform in DC?
The prospects are quite good, and
Okay.
it's because Grasso is leading the charge.
Okay.
But at the same time, you know, we're listening to Karl Racine really come out with some good reform proposals. I want to add that in Racine's proposal, he not only addresses pay-to-play, but he also addresses other issues like coordination with outside groups and dark money, you know, where nonprofits are spending electioneering activity and we don't know where the money is coming from. all of these major problems that we're seeing in the money and politics arena are now being addressed by one proposal or another coming out of the city council. I've never seen the DC City Council so serious and energetic about coming up with some reform. So I'm quite hopeful on this.
And so if one of them is to go forward, what would be the time frame before it will be put into play?
Well, we're trying to step it up as fast as we can.
Yeah.
The DC Council has, the Judiciary Committee has already held hearings on all of these proposals. And so we've got a hearing done on the proposals. Now we got to make sure that we can hold the council's feet to the fire so that they actually start bringing these issues up for markup and for a vote. There's no vote scheduled yet on any of them, but you know, I see it coming.
So then another thing that we have an issue with is accountability. What accountability mechanisms need to be put into place to make sure that we're catching these violators, or that whatever the reform is, it's actually going to be put into place?
That's a very good question. You know, the Office of Campaign Finance has generally been charged with enforcing the campaign finance law. And it's done a fairly poor job lately. It has not been very accountable. The leadership of OCF gets appointed by the mayor, and so it makes it difficult to have that as an independent office.
Right.
In the debate on Grasso's public financing bill, a lot of us are going to be pushing the city council to restructure OCF a little bit, to give it a little more independence, model it more upon like the New York City Campaign Finance Board that is independent and very active, and then we could see some real accountability happen. That's a step that needs to be made.
I think that definitely if we cut back on some of the pay to play, it'll give the elected officials a little more credibility when it comes to running and awarding contracts, because right now the talk is who's in your pocket, or whose pockets are you in when it comes up to elections.
I think you're absolutely right on that.
So we definitely have to.
As the council takes this issue seriously, as they debate public financing, as they cut off a quarter of their own campaign budgets by perhaps not allowing government contractors to make contributions, they're going to take that want to take that extra step of making sure the law gets enforced fairly and equitably.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you and having you with us again.
Thank you.
To the viewing audience, we say thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be back next month, same time, same channel. Have a great one.